One of the major value gains of Harness Database DevOps is that it allows you to let your developers manage their database code the same way they manage all other changes to their applications. Different application teams frequently use different branching structures for managing their application code today. This video provides a walkthrough of the experience using Harness Database DevOps when you are maintaining one branch per environment. This is a branching method commonly used across several of the GitOps tools, such as Argo CD and Flux. On this screen, we can see a high-level overview of which of my database changes have been deployed to which of my environments so far. You can see that we had a bad change set a little while ago that we wound up rolling back, change set 20. It's still deployed in our sandbox environment, but all of our other environments it's been rolled back in. Similarly, you can see that we had change set 22, which when we deployed to development failed, and we never deployed it to any other environment. Both of those change sets I've abandoned. What I want to show you the lifecycle of today is change set SE Training 3. It's currently deployed to development. My team's been testing with it, and we've concluded it's good to go. So now we're ready to ship it to staging, and then ultimately production. To do this deployment, all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Git repository. Here I've created a pull request that merges my development branch into my staging branch. The change I'm making is a fairly simple one. It is adding a new column named region to the table SE Lab inside of my database. Let's go ahead and merge this pull request. When Harness Database DevOps is configured for branch per environment, you have a different branch for each of your database environments. We just triggered a merge of this change from development into staging. Harness will automatically detect that and pick up the change and apply it into our staging environment. Once it's deployed to staging, we'll do the same thing to production if everything looks good. Here on our UI, once it finishes deploying to staging, we will see it pop up here. And similarly, if we go to executions, you can see that we're currently in the process of deploying it to staging. For each deployment, we generate a preview of the SQL that's going to be applied. We apply that change to the database, and then ultimately we tag the database to create a new rollback point so that if any future changes need to be rolled back, we can. This preview is used by our governance feature to allow you to enforce policy against the SQL that is being applied automatically. As you can see, we're now applying the change to our staging environment. Now that the change has been applied, we're tagging the database. This creates a new rollback point so that if we ever need to roll back in the future, we can. But if I come back over to that migration state table, you can see that our staging environment is now updated. Everything looks good with my change. My team can test. It can run additional tests. And of course, since this is all in a Harness pipeline, I can also kick off additional test automation if so desired. When I'm ready to ship to prod, all I have to do is create a new pull request. In this case, this pull request is going to merge from the staging branch of my repo up to the production branch of my repo. We're going to create the pull request. And when I merge this pull request, Harness will detect it and kick off the deployment to production. Let's go ahead and merge that. And similarly, because this is in my main Git repo, if I have branch protection, if I have required approvals, etc., this pull request has to go through all my normal process. And this works with any Git provider. Coming back over into Harness, when we click into executions, you'll see we have a new execution running, and this execution is updating all of our production instances. For every single production instance, we're running that release process where we're confirming that the SQL being applied meets all of our company's policies. Then we're applying that change to the database, and finally, we're tagging the database. In this demo, the tags I'm applying are the git SHA of the commit, so that I have a one-to-one relationship between the state that is in the database and the state that is in Git. This also makes it really easy at any point in time to figure out what the value I want to use when rolling back a database change is. Just a minute here. As those finish, we will be able to see that the database changes have been deployed. As you can see, our database changes have now been deployed across all environments. And hopefully you now have a feel for what it's like to manage your database changes using Harness Database DevOps on the same branching strategy as your application if your application is currently creating a separate branch of its Git repository for each database operating environment.